It really pains me to say this. It really pains me to say this, but Milly Alcock deserves so much better than this. Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the latest entry in the DC universe that is being helmed by James Gunn. It's the follow-up to last year's smash hit Superman. We are talking about Supergirl. I really want to preface this before I dive into my review that any complaint or critique or qualm I have with this movie is coming from a purely critical lens. I don't want any of that nonsense that I see on the internet from the dude bros. This is not a safe space for misogynistic takes, especially because Milly Alcock is a shining star in this. She comes out of this so unscathed. It is such a shame that the movie around her is such a mess because she is a brilliant Supergirl. I think she can lead a big movie so well. I would love to see her in more things outside of this universe. I just think she is so good. The way she plays Kara is so stunning. She's so emotionally available as Kara. She is brimming with vulnerability. It is such a mesmerizing performance. This version of Supergirl is so broken and she is so suffocated in her grief, and Milly Alcock wears that so flawlessly. We can always see her kind of fighting to stomach her pain and her grief and whatever else is bubbling up there. The story does get into some dark territory. In the story, the villains are abducting young women with the purpose of using them as brides for their own civilization's continuation, and a character divulges that to Kara, and Milly Alcock's reaction is silent but so stunning. You can feel so much there. You can feel how upset she is and how sick she is over that, but she doesn't allow it to crack or break through. I think she's doing that throughout this whole movie. It's really stunning work. And I loved that she makes Kara still really vibrant and funny and charming despite that pain. She doesn't play her one note. I think it's a really brilliant performance, especially when it all culminates in the journey we've been building toward at the end. That being said, I feel like I don't know this character, and a lot of the history and a lot of the origins we're cramming in there feel a little too late. This was kind of my problem with the last Superman movie too. We're just being kind of plopped right in with no context for these characters, or these versions rather, and how they're operating in this world. And so it kind of feels like we're playing catch up. Here we get plenty of flashbacks, but it kind of feels disruptive to then the momentum of the story, and we're just cramming it in. I feel like it didn't do us any favors. Which brings me to my next point. The pacing on this is so clunky. This movie is about an hour and 45 minutes, but it's so stop and go. And we're cutting to these stretches of moments that really take away from the unfolding action. It's very weird and bizarre. The editing doesn't help either. There's some very bizarre editing choices. Those editing choices trickle into these action sequences. I thought they were really lackluster, a lot of the action sequences. And it's so frustrating because Kara is really dynamic and she can really put up a fight. I think the other frustrating part was some of the visuals in this looked pretty decent. There's some moments that were really nice looking, and then there's some other moments that are genuinely an eyesore. I think Superman is also an ugly movie. I didn't think a movie could look uglier than that, and this one kind of gives it a run for its money, unfortunately. I hate being mean, but I think so much of this movie is genuinely an eyesore, specifically in those action moments. Milly Alcock is giving a great performance, but I don't think she's being supported very well by the other performances. We have Ruthie, played by Eve Ridley. That character is kind of one note. I feel like Eve Ridley is not given a lot to work with. Ruthie is very much a stock character. She's only there to drive Kara's story forward. I just think she wasn't given a lot to work with. Matthias Schoenaerts plays Krem, the villain, and this is a really lackluster comic book movie villain, a really lackluster one, not really interesting or dynamic at all. He is trying his best. I will give everybody in this movie that they are trying, but the material, unfortunately, Jason Momoa is quite bad in this. I really thought that performance was distracting and kind of grating. I don't know what he was doing there. I think he thinks he's really killing it. I did not like that performance at all. That character was such a waste. I don't know why he was really there, to be honest. Tonally, this movie's kind of all over the place. It's trying to go for like that James Gunn sense of humor, but it falls short of even that. I don't really vibe with that sense of humor, but somehow this falls even flatter. Like, my audience was really not hitting with the jokes, and a lot of the humor is so reductive and so obvious, and I was just kind of like bored by it. What else is frustrating about this movie is that the story, like, underneath is quite dark. You know, Kara is trying to save Crypto, her dog, and by proxy help Ruthie with this revenge mission. You know, there is this really dark subplot of these young women being trafficked. They are forced to be brides. They are just referred to as the brides. It's really dark, and I thought there was a lot of potential to explore there. I really liked the darkness kind of surrounding that. It would have been cool to have like a story that was as edgy as the character it was focused on, but they really don't explore that in a thoughtful way, and they are just kind of secondary. I also thought there was a lot more potential for them to explore with Kara and Clark's relationship. I think the glimpses we get of that is far more interesting than what we actually got on screen. I think, yeah, this is a really extremely frustrating movie. The stakes don't feel that high. It's operating like we've spent so much time with this character, and we really haven't. I'm bummed. Again, I think Supergirl and Milly Alcock deserved a much stronger vehicle. And I hate adding to the inevitable, like, dog pile that's gonna happen, but that's just how I feel. I don't think it's a train wreck. I've seen far worse, actually, but it is not like a great time, I have to be honest. I gave this 2.5 stars, which is what I gave Superman, so at least I'm consistent. Thank you so much for tuning into the review. Make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do with a YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me everywhere, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.